me get the microphone over so you can just say hello. Can we get a cable over there? I'm going to ask Hetty to say a couple of words. Is that okay? Yes. Hetty. Why are you here, love? Okay.
Peace is the one word I do everything to promote. Peace throughout the world. Peace between peoples of all colour, all race, all beliefs. Peace on earth.
Yay! Hetty, thank you very, very much indeed. We've got a couple of other speakers, all going to be very brief, 2 minutes. We'll start with Bruce Kent.
1 second. I'll speak to you in a minute.
Bruce and I are being elevated together now.
Very brief, that's right, very brief. Well, I'll scrap the half-hour speech I had and I'll make it 2 minutes. It's a pleasure to see you all again. I remember so many old faces. There are 1 or 2 old faces around here, aren't there? Put your hands up. Yeah, I can see you. Remember those wonderful demonstrations against the Boer War we had? Yeah. Great success in those days. My one single message today is wet finger politics. What's wet finger politics? I learnt about it in Australia. Lick your finger, stick it in the air, and see which way the wind is blowing. And that's what politicians do. When the wind is blowing, they move in that direction. And if we want to change about nuclear weapons in this country, we've got to show that we've got the majority opinion behind us. And that's not going to happen by accident, by telling each other how awful these things are. It means all over the place, out there, everywhere, getting people involved. It's not a problem. £100 billion is not a problem to win an argument with. £100 billion, do you want that? Or the National Health Service? National Health Service. Do you want that? Or education? Education. Do you want that on pensions? Pensions. It's an absolute... There are no problems in getting the argument across, but we've got to get it across. The other day I spoke to a C&D group, 20 people, nice people, all devoted, and I said, how many of you have written a letter to your local paper in the last 6 months? And there's a kind of shuffling around, and 3 hands went up. These are places where we can get our opinions in. Local papers, on websites, on messages, on notice boards, on your front window, on your motor car, on your neighbour's doorstep, talking to people in the supermarket. And above all, dealing with the great anti-poverty groups in this country. The Oxfams, the Christian Aids, the war, not the war on wants because they're on our side, the CAFODs, all the others. Because these big people talk about poverty, but they don't want to talk about the connection with war. In this world, we spend $1.7 trillion a year on war. That's the world bill. This $100 billion of Trident is part of it. And we've got to get the development agencies to say that war is the major cause of poverty, which it certainly is, the major cause of poverty. I wish you happy campaigning, make lots of converts, and I hope never to see you again. I mean here.
Bruce, thank you very much. Thanks for all you do to inspire and promote so much for the cause of peace in the world. Next speaker, great friend of the peace movement, is practically given us great help, and I have to say to her, really cheesy, she has a design for the future. Please welcome a great designer, Catherine Hamnett.
Thank you very much. Hi everybody. So, investing $100 billion in Trident on weapons that we're never likely to use is throwing a huge amount of our money down the drain. As a business model, actually, investing in education wins hands down. It brings a 10.8 return to the government on investment. So, the same amount of money invested in higher education over a 30-year period, the lifetime of Trident, would give us $105 billion in the bank. It would mean that we can invest in our poor ailing NHS and social services, housing, transport, everything that we need. Britain has few natural resources apart from good green energy potential and a hell of a lot of rain. Our resource is our people, our educated population. Let's invest in them instead. But how to make it happen? T-shirts, marches, demos, direct action, Occupy haven't achieved their objectives, and petitions mainly go in the bin. Take the recent case of 80,000 people emailing Owen Paterson when he failed to support the proposed EU ban on the neonicotinoid pesticides that are killing bees. He called it a cyber attack. We need to sharpen up our campaigning. We need to get out our claws. We need to show our teeth. Democracy means government by the people, for the people. Millions of people died in 2 world wars that we could still have it. That we'd have the freedom of speech to actually be able to stand up and speak to each other the way we are doing today. But it's unfinished business. It's slipping through our fingers. Iraq, bees, nuclear, list is endless. Most politicians are a vested interest group, apart from Jeremy. Only in politics to get re-elected. The only thing that they take notice of is something that threatens their chances of re-election. The phenomenal amount of money they're planning to waste on Trident is an election issue. What we need is for everyone here to write to their MPs and tell your friends to do the same, telling them that you won't vote for them next time unless they represent our views on Trident in Parliament. Tell them you don't want some mealy-mouthed reply explaining why we need Trident. We don't. You'll just be watching them. It's our responsibility to act intelligently now, to rein in this irresponsible expenditure of taxpayers' money. Contact your local MP today. And if you don't know who your MP is, go to theyworkforyou.com and enter your postcode. It'll tell you. You can also watch how they vote from the same site. Thanks very much. Write to your MP today, please.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Very strong message. And if you live in Islington North, consider yourself to already have written to me, okay? Walter Wolfgang was a founder of CND and has all his life campaigned for peace and nuclear disarmament. And it's with great pleasure I ask you now to welcome Walter Wolfgang and hear his words.
Good afternoon, fellow nuclear realists, because that is what we are. We have faced the reality that these devices are not weapons. They are not means of defense. They are means of destruction and could ultimately destroy the human race. And so we have got to scrap them. We've got to scrap them all over the globe. And the beginning has been made in some countries, South Africa for instance, and a few others. And it's time that Britain joined them. It's time we scrapped Trident, and together with Trident we should scrap all other nuclear weapons. Now, of course, there are vested interests who are preventing it. And they've got a strong influence on the government. And therefore, the government is already sanctioning expenditure for renewing Trident, although nominally the decision isn't going to be taken before 2016. And then they'll say in 2016, if they're still there, and hopefully they won't be, but if they're still there, they will say, well, so much money has been spent, so we better carry on with it. Don't be fooled by it. Don't wear it. We won't do it. And the same people, the same vested interests are working in my own party and the Labour Party And they're trying to persuade it to say, we don't need to decide on this issue till 2015. Lies! In 2015, you're near an election, and you won't decide on that. It's got to be decided now. Labour has to say very, very clearly that Trident will be scrapped, and the Labour will not have any truck with it. Now you can help with that. If you're a member of the Labour Party, see that your constituency party and your trade unions pass a resolution saying no to Trident. If you're not, there's a Labour Party website, which is a public relations exercise, I admit, but use it. And say you're against Trident. Use Twitter. Use anything you like. We have got to play all the keys of the piano. It's time that man's moral capacity would come face to face with his technical capacity. So far, this hasn't happened. It's got to happen now. But if we try, and if we work very hard, we will succeed. We will succeed. We are bound to succeed. We shall overcome.
Walter, thank you very, very much indeed.